Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DAL Season 5. My name is Power of the Storm, joined by the lovely Wealku off here to my, I guess it would be your guys' right. So, anyways, today we're going to have an amazing match between In Control Nation, or as they've renamed to, you'll have to remind me what their name is. I
Juicers.
already forgot. Juicers, yes, thank you so much. Juicers and 1HP Esports. Care to tell us a little bit about the teams?
Sure. So let's go take a look at these rosters if we can pull up that, or at least let's take some stats. I think we have 1 HP stats, so we might be able to just whip that up here. We have Chu, of course, Beanyat, Ani. I always say that wrong. Louis and Yeji Sosa. So each of these players obviously going to bring their own unique thing to the table. A lot of dedicated roles on this roster, I would argue. And that's fine. That still works. I do think that you do have more teams being more flexible, but in this case, this is one of those teams I would say you're going to see them, on their roles more often than not, consistently. So this isn't a team that I'm going to expect a lot of change-ups being thrown in, but at least it has really good consistency. Unfortunately, we don't have the other side or juicers. This is, a brand new team coming in. They did take the place of In Control Nation, so of course that makes sense. We wouldn't have something for them. So, but then I do think we can pull up some map bands here, see where we're going to be going in this matchup.
Yeah, we are going to be heading first to Clubhouse, followed up by Chalet, and then if it is on the table, we will be heading to Cafe. As you can see, 1HP are going to be defending first on Clubhouse, so they will have that map advantage that you typically tend to see on Clubhouse. And, well, we're going to hope, or at least they're hoping, that they're going to be able to get a couple of wins on the board, maybe take that first half in their favor, and then be able to get a couple of wins on their attack. But considering that both these teams are a little bit newer, obviously we have Juicers coming in and taking the spot of In Control Nation, but also the roster for 1HP is looking a lot different than it did back during the qualifiers. And because of that, it's really difficult to tell as to what exactly they are going to be bringing to the table when it comes to Clubhouse. But this is a map that is so commonly played. I, for one, am expecting to see some good performances all around.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't really talk about where we're at in the season, what the stakes are. So let me just quickly, briefly talk about that before we jump into the first matchup here. This is going to be Juicers already making playoffs, and they're guaranteed that spot simply by committee, I suppose you could say, where they're allowed to take that spot that was already there from In Control Nation. So they're kind of lucky in that regard. They get to come in. We'll see in this matchup. Hopefully, they can show us that they have the skill to back it up. But looking at it, you do see that 1 HP is kind of halfway up through this middle of the pack kind of thing. They really want this win if they want to make playoffs. This is the second to last round, meaning they only have one more round to go until we get to see what the final standings will be. So this is obviously one of just two. I don't remember how many matches there are in each round, but obviously not many left over here. So that's going to make it so they have to fight for every win they can get in order to make that top spot to make it into the playoffs.
Certainly, stakes are high for 1 HP. Obviously, like you mentioned, Juicers, they pretty much have a pretty good ride in, but they would still like to have some good standings and some good wins on their record. And, well, taking a loss here, it would certainly hinder their ability to potentially get in. So, with that prerequisite underway, we're going to hopefully have a pretty amazing match ahead of us. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we have both the teams ready to go just yet. So, is there anything else you want to mention about this before we get into it?
I do want to think that this would be important to juicers. I just want to point that out as it is. Again, they're coming in here, a new roster. They kind of have to prove their worth to show that they came in and took that spot number 3 now. Like, I understand why. I'm not bad mouthing the system at all. That's not what I mean by it. It's more to say that other players in this league are going to look at that and be like, had they been here this whole time, would they be up there? And they're going to wonder. And so now it's a pressure on juicers. They have to kind of show their worth. And this is a good matchup to do so, right? This is a mid-level team. And if you can beat that, then it would show that, maybe you do really belong up in that top spot. So I think the pressure is kind of more on them in that regard of expectations, but pressure as far as trying to make the playoffs. And of course, just like get in to show that you are better than maybe your record shows right now. That's going to be 1 HP's pressure. So each team having their own unique situation that's going to put a little bit of pressure on them.
And certainly. Since we're still waiting for the players to join into the lobby, just talking about the other two maps we have on the board, I feel like that these are maps you don't typically see as often. Chalet, in particular, is a map that tends to get banned frequently, but Cafe does get a lot of play along with Clubhouse. And so those two maps are going to be ones where we see how the teams are able to fare up against it, especially since, we're looking at 1 HP coming in here with a bit of a newer roster, trying to prove themselves, get higher the middle of the pack, and then like you mentioned, Juice. So there's their whole thing trying to prove that they do belong where they are currently standing. These are probably some pretty good maps that do it, as you have two maps that are very formulaic. They've been played a lot. They're very common to be played, and so you're going to be getting them a lot. But also a map like Chalet, which gets played a little bit less often and can have a couple of unique strategies that might show the adaptivity, the adaptability and versatility that juicers might bring to the table that teams aren't going to be able to see from them as often.
Yeah, these are all maps I actually like too, which is
Yeah.
good. Because some maps honestly aren't as exciting to cast as a caster, and I think even as a viewer, just not as fun to watch a map play out. I think Clubhouse is nice simply because it's one of the most balanced maps in the map pool right now. Obviously, attacking and winning on defense are both pretty equal. I would say maybe slightly defender sided still, but it's hardly anything. On the other hand, we do have some of these other maps that each would balance each other out. Chalet is actually more attacker sided statistically, and then Cafe is a little more defender sided. So this whole map pool and the best of three that we're going to have here right now across the board is actually pretty even. So I think each team, it's not really like one team's going to get screwed over by their starting position on any map necessarily. Obviously, there's bounce backs on each of these maps capable by both teams simply by virtue of where they're starting on which side they're starting. I think that's great. I think sometimes we get to see too many matchups where we see these really defender sided, like we get a Cafe and Oregon. And then when Theme Park was in the map pool, for example, like that would be a heavy lineup for defender sided maps. And it's just sometimes it gets a little stale, right? So I'm glad we get to see the Chalet, like you mentioned. One of my favorite maps right now. It's exciting. It's a fun map to watch. It's kind of taken that place of Consulate, which was getting stale. I'm not saying it like shouldn't have taken out, but there's not a lot of attacker sided maps. And I think Chalet has certainly proven that it's worthwhile to have in the map pool.
I do agree with you. Chalet is one of my favorite maps as well. It feels like it's a map where every single site, for the most part, is viable. It feels like a general consensus is that going to basement, wine, and then snowmobile garage is sort of the worst site. But I have seen a lot of teams, especially at this level, that do prefer to go down to that site and see a lot of playtime on it. So there's a ton of different variety as to what you can do, how you can hold it. You see some general strategies come out, but even then, plans change, ways to attack it, ways to defend it change quite frequently, especially compared to that's been in the map pool for a decent period of time. Obviously, not as long as a map like Clubhouse or Oregon, but it still has been in there for long. And you would think that things would get a bit more standardized by now, but I'm still seeing a ton of different strategies and a ton of different ways to attack constantly as I cast this map. But obviously, I don't cast all the time. But when I do, usually I can always guarantee to see something different. And that always makes it quite enjoyable, at least for me as a caster.
Right. I think even as a viewer, they're gonna allow that versatility and still being able to figure it out. You're gonna see things actually being figured out in front of us. We don't have to just sit back and watch the same thing play out over and over and over again. As you mentioned, people still trying to do basement holds on this map, and that's totally fine. Well, on that map, technically, we're about to jump into Clubhouse, which looks like we are
Mhm.
ready to go. So we'll just go ahead and jump straight in and see what these operator bands are going to be here on map one of Clubhouse.
I think there's some pretty standardized bands. These teams obviously want to come in here and prove what they have to bring to the table, and bringing some, unique bands which would be something that I would expect from 1HP, as they have in the past had some pretty interesting bands that may not have been the most intelligent at the time, but they seem to, somewhat work out. Obviously, they do have 2 wins on the board, so you can't complain that much. But starting things out with a Maverick band, I would honestly say that while it isn't the most common band on this map to start out with, it is still one that can work out in your favor.
It's not uncommon either. I mean, it does come through here and there, and of course, Thatch is going to follow it up. That is expected. It's going to make it a lot harder to open up the walls. So we'll see if they deny a denier here with the bans, maybe get rid of a cage and force them to put things on the floor. It's a little easier to clear that way. Or if they're going to leave it open, which I think would arguably make this map a little more defender sided with that in mind. So otherwise, Mira and Valk are both options to ban as well. And that is the Cade, as I had mentioned, possibility of taking it out. And now they have to place meat jammers and bandit charges on the floor, a lot easier to take care of.
Final ban coming out here, we are going to see the Mira being banned, which isn't too surprising considering how powerful she is and the ability for you to set up sites like Gym Bedroom and also the basement site. But in particular, that means that we're going to be able to see Valkyrie be played, which is very uncommon, especially recently, as she has been seeing a lot of play. There was the nerf that was planned to go through. Unfortunately, it still hasn't. So you can still throw her cameras outside, but even then, the amount of intel she can provide for your team, even when her cameras are inside, is almost unmatched. I feel like that's why we are seeing Yeji on the side of 1 HP, bringing that out for the first round.
Right, if it's gonna go through and not be banned, I mean, this was the most banned defensive operator, I believe, last season. So makes sense that if she is in player. I mean, as you mentioned, just so much versatility and power when it comes to the information game, which this game is still very much about. Obviously, it's an FPS that's going to always come first, but secondary to that is probably information mixed with comms. You would argue that that'd be the second
Attackers need
step
to
in a team
locate
being
and defuse
successful,
as many
not just
bombs as
gun
they
power,
can.
but using the information to get those kills. So we're going to be seeing a little bit of a difference of what you would expect probably, in that it is gym and bedroom as the first bomb site. Now, this is the castle buff that I love. You don't have to rip down barricades. It automatically goes down as you put up the castle barricade. Plus, he has 4 of them now. Obviously, it takes a little less power and punches to take them out, but still, I like the buff.
Bit of a convenience update as well as just boosting his kit viability. Always nice to see. Castle, one of my favorite operators personally, just for the versatility he allows you to have when it comes to setting up a site. But in any event, the site they are going to be setting up is this gym bedroom site, where we're going to be seeing them do a pretty much a standard setup, although they are doing a bit of a heavier roam and roam extension, as they are heavily reinforcing cache, but also a bit of the downstairs site as well, reinforcing areas off like bar, and then also that, excuse me, closet area. A bit of an interesting extension utilizing their reinforcements may potentially mean that the players on the side of Juicers, as they push in here, might be able to find an area that isn't as heavily guarded and capitalize off the fact that the players don't really know that, where they can hold.
Oh, Dunny going for the pre-fire. Obviously heard something, but unfortunately wasn't in the right area with the crosshair. Now we're seeing a push coming from Flacco. Okami, former team, I believe, then in that case. That's going to be Yeji Sosa off the board, getting the refrag pretty quickly there. Juicers now evening the man count back up, and we're not even a minute into this round.
Very nice work from both those players to be able to get those frags, and it does mean things are 4-4. One roamer off the board, but taking a player with them can prove invaluable. And we're seeing here, now the players on Juicers, they've sort of rotated outside of the map itself and are instead trying to go ahead and get open these walls, where you're seeing the Twitch drone going ahead and getting rid of that mute jammer, allowing Thermite to get the wall open. But in the meantime, Genji, playing on the Hibana, is going to go ahead and remove the head of Awani, who was playing on that mute. So now the man advantage is firmly in favor of Juicers, as they now are forced to play in a bit compromising positions, as there's a lot of angles being held by the attackers, and we're seeing actually grenades being thrown in from below from Flacco that do a lot of damage onto Chu. Unfortunately, don't remove them from the board, but once again force the rotation from 1 HP, and now they've taken a ton of damage. They've been forced in a really bad situation. This is looking amazing for Juicers.
Yeah, that was really good. I think one of the first times I ever saw some really good grenades from below on this map was actually Virtue on the sledge roll when G2 was playing with Pengu, I think, back then. So it's been a little bit since I've seen some play like that from them, but either way, it's really sweet. Badger going to get a kill onto Chu, and then there's going to see some refrags coming through, but Mr. Pixel shuts it down and gets the last 2, and that's going to be Juicers for round 1.
Amazing work to be able to finish that one out. They had them into, like I mentioned previously, very compromising positions. They weren't playing in the right places they needed to be, and so the ability to recognize that, and then as soon as you get a pick, quickly jump in through windows, go in through the holes that you've made in reinforced walls, and just overall flush onto the site itself, and then eventually pick off the remaining players while they're caught in the confusion. It works out extremely well for the players on Juicers. Very nice work from them as well. 1 HP are heading over to bar and stage as their second site. This is a shocker.
Avoiding basement and CC, like, it's just a little odd, but hey, whatever. We'll see how it works out. Maybe they feel like they need to throw in some curveballs here at this team. I'm not sure. That's the main thing I can think of. It was a good try. I think it was Beanyat at the end who was the last one alive there. Got a double kill, trying to bring this team into the round again as they were down 2 men at that time, but unfortunately not able to get it done. The man deficit is just too large, and I mean, you had a roamer get an opening kill, so you think that that already spells a pretty good round for you. Usually opening kills do have some sort of correlation with winning a round, but in this case not the case. We're going to see Juicers now having to deal with this weird defense, as you mentioned, down in bar. And I'm just wondering how they're going to handle it. Seems like they're pretty prepared for the gym and bedroom, but who really is prepared for this bomb set? I'm not sure.
This is true. I do know the owner and one of the coaches of this org. Awkward, shout out to him. I'm pretty sure we're still friends, but it has been a minute since we've talked. And this is certainly a setup that he does like to do when it comes to holding this. He is a very big, I'm guessing, proprietor of holding this bomb site via this method, utilizing Castle in particular, and then also operators like Echo to give you more intel and also just prevent the plant from going on. That's what's so easy about this map. It's so big. There's so many places for you to play and get in, and you having Echo on the board to be able to stop that could prove invaluable. But at least for the moment, it doesn't seem like they're going to be going for a plant rush. Instead, they're trying to get areas upstairs. Well, we saw them getting open the CCTV wall as well. We're seeing Gingy try to get open this construction single wall, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for the moment. But Flacco going to be pushing into CCTV, getting the opening kill onto Louis, one of the roamers for 1 HP. That is an opening pick, and like you mentioned, those are really valuable for whatever team that gets it.
In this case, it's going to go the opposite direction. Last time 1 HP got it. Now Juicers on the back of Flacco. I think he was actually the one who was killed last time. In this case, going to be the one getting the kill. So getting a little bit of revenge for himself the last round. We're going to see some destruction coming through on the attacking side. They need to start getting a little bit of pressure onto these defenders as they're trying to get that vertical hold. Now we see that stock used to be that bomb site, but now it's in stage. Another kill coming out for Juicers Dunny. The kill onto Yeji Sosa, and now it is a 3v5 yet again in a man deficit about halfway through the round, and this seems to be a problem for 1 HP. Hopefully they can clean it up, but so far you're gonna have to surmount a comeback here on this round because it's not looking good.
Damage going on to Dunny as we see Dunny going ahead and just Kool-Aid manning straight through those castle barricades. Beanya able to get another kill for himself, but unfortunately Dunny is there to get the frag onto Awani, bringing things still a 2-man deficit for 1 HP Esports at a 4-2. A minute left remaining, and there's so many angles they have to worry about now as you see the castle barricades getting deleted, and we're also seeing the Aruna gates getting removed as well. But Beanyat's still there trying to claw his team back into things. He's going to kill Mr. Pixel as he tries to pre-fire and maybe get another kill at that double door. That doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it. Chu, the only player left with Floichi remaining, has rotated over towards the pool table to maybe hold an angle. As we see now, the players on Juicers are inside the site proper. More damage coming through as they try to push in. Here the walls are in the way, and Gingy wins the fight against Beanyat. Chu, the only player left remaining, is going to down Dunny, but the Fuser is going to get planted as well. 2 players left remaining. Gingy at very low HP, however, as Badger gets lowered to half. Chu going to try to push him through this road. He does end up getting Gingy, but unfortunately Badger is there to get the refrag. A very, very intense final couple of seconds, but in the end it is going to be Juicers to secure the second round and bring themselves up a 2-2 lead, or 2-0 lead, excuse me.
She almost had that. Down Dunny, very little HP on Gingy, so just a bullet on that person would have downed him, and then it'd be a 1v1 essentially, but unfortunately not able to do so. And it's not really expected that they win that round, but you really hoped that they would. In this case, not the case. Juices 2 rounds in a row. We're going to see bar stage yet again being selected here. I'm not a huge fan of going to the same bomb site twice, and basement is a really good bomb site. Why are you avoiding it? Go down there. Clearly these other ones aren't working, so if you had some fear of going down there based on maybe what you've seen from the opponent, even then, it can't be much worse than what we've seen, where you've just been constantly at a disadvantage virtually an entire round when it comes to man deficit. So I'm not a huge fan of this, but maybe they have some adjustment that can make me eat my words. I'm just not very convinced of it.
The exact same operator lineup being brought out as well. Very interesting in terms of their strategy when it comes to going to the site. I'm not entirely sure if it is the greatest idea. I do agree with you. Going the same bomb site twice isn't the isn't the greatest strategy, but the execution is what has to be different when it comes to winning these out. Alternatively, just hitting your shot. That round did go down to technically a 1v1, and well, it could have been very winnable if more players had just not got caught out of position or had one 1v1 gunfights. But relying on your teammates to win that instead of changing up your strategy to make it easier for them to win those gunfights, it's arguably a better strategy, at least in my opinion. So hopefully it will work out for them, obviously. I do want to see this match be a competitive one, but I'm concerned that it may not be. And it may just be Juicers taking another round and securing this half, at the very least, at a tie.
Well, the old bait and switch, having someone else shoot the drones as they're entering, and then they're hoping that someone would push in to try and shoot at a person at the bottom garage door. In this case, it isn't happening, and at least Louis still has a chance to get him, but did that drone see him? That's the question, really, now. I'm not sure if it did, but if they did not, then it can still get the kill here. He's just patient, playing this game, but so far no one has entered through that door, and I do think they were able to get rid of the default cam. We're going to see Genji is the one pushing in. Can he look below? Oh, if Louis was looking up, actually could have had a freebie there, but unfortunately they were both not looking in either's direction, and that's going to allow them each to live, and no kills coming in the first minute.
Very surprised, especially in the first 2 rounds, there has pretty much always been kills, but it seems like Louis has been droned down, now stuck in right behind this generator, actually, as there's 2 drones on, and or at the very least there was one, and now Louis is going to try to take the fight with that player, but he does have the C4 to create a rotate if he does need. Still, though, both players are playing this relatively passively. The rotate does come through, and he does decide to push back, but it's Flacco to open things up, getting that kill onto Binya, a player that has been so instrumental when it comes to the defense for 1 HP. Removing from the board is certainly huge, as now we see the remaining players on side of Juicers. They're trying to see if they can get open a couple of walls, get a couple more angles on some of the players, such as Chu, who's currently roaming upstairs along with Louis. So being able to quickly take them out would prove invaluable, but it's going to be Yeji that goes down in the meantime. Badger getting that frag, bringing things back to a 5v3 with a minute left remaining. I'm having a sense of deja vu.
Yeah, we've seen this before. We know how it plays out. Will it be the same old story, or can we see a little bit of a mix-up in the ending? Maybe a victory coming in from 1 HP. Time will tell, as it is ticking down below a minute now. And to see there's some aggressive holds coming out, and the push from Awani does get a kill, but instantly refrag. Mr. Pixel pushing up from behind, catches him unawares. Now Chu is up here above, I believe, with Louis, and they're going to be trying to hold out. Louis getting a kill, Chu finding another onto Jinji, and now Diffuser down below, a 2v2, 30 seconds remaining. This is a much better situation, but Mr. Pixel has something to say about it. Louis found 6 feet under, and now a 1v2 for Chu. They're gonna be trying to dance around this breaching hole that was made. The plant is gonna come through, so now essentially a 1v1 as there is one player just having to hold on and try and cover. Above angle not opened up early enough. Now the 1v2 is in the post plant situation, making it a lot harder. The attackers have pushed back, holding longer angles. They have probably better sights for these, as Chu stuck with the 1.0 sight. Oh, nice flick does find Dunny right in the noggin, and now 1v1. Mr. Pixel has to hold out and clutch it for his team, not let this diffuser get diffused, as that is what Chu is going to attempt to do. It looks like he's sticking it at the time being, and has to jump off as the shots come through, and does eventually land. Mr. Pixel able to hold on and win a 3rd round in a row.
3 in a row for Juicers. Very dominant performance so far. It has gotten close these past couple of rounds, 2 being 1, but unfortunately you're in that post-bind situation. Now the time is against you as a defender, and well, unfortunately somewhat costed them at the end of that round. Still decent attempt, almost being able to come back. A very nice headshot kill onto the player playing outside. It worked phenomenally. And well, now as we see the next round go underway, they are finally heading down to Church Arsenal, where we are seeing Valkyrie be played once again, but as well Malusi coming out here, which will potentially provide them some area denial, maybe some intel if the defenders do decide, or excuse me, attackers do decide that that's where they want to push into. But it's the fact that it's taken them so long. It's taken them 3 rounds to head down to basement, the site that you see be played the most, at least in my recent experience. I've seen this site being played the most. It's a bit surprising to me. You would think we would see this one sooner, and it makes me a little bit concerned as to if 1HP really know what they're doing here.
Yeah, it's always hard to know from the outside, right? It's always hard to say for certain why does this team do this, or why are they even having a rough go of it. Some people could be like the chemistry's just not there, or maybe the strategies have become stale. Like there's a lot of things it could be. And in this case, you have to wonder, why would they really push to go to bar 2 times in a row? It's not a bomb site you see very often. Usually there's a reason for that, and it's usually because it's not a good bomb site if you don't see it very often. Now, it's still being figured out. I do think it has potential, but clearly we just saw why it is very hard to hold. The attackers can just get a lot of vertical pressure. There's a lot of areas where they can pinch you, and it's very hard for defenders to hold something to stop that. So in this case, we're going to see a rush coming through, but it's being watched from above. Louis, the Overwatch, gets a double kill, and it's going to have to try an attempt for another one, but Badger has their number. That's going to be the refrag coming in, but a little late, as that is 2 bodies down for the attackers, Hibana being 1. This is the basement. Hatches are really important, and now it's going to be a lot harder to open those up.
You would think that, considering that they had someone go up to that window after the fact, that they would have someone preemptively up there. And Binya actually going to drop them that same hatch, gets a flank kill onto Flacco, who just got a team kill, and then Binya gets the second one. That round over in almost an instant after a very unfortunate misplay from Juicers results in a very dominant first round win for 1HP as well. Seems like that going basement was the play, but it just doesn't seem like it was for the reason they expected.
That was interesting. Clearly, they're going for some sort of rush into billiards. I'm not sure what they had pictured happening there, but clearly Louis was ready with the hatch, awaiting, and they just jumped right into his arms. He's like, "I'll take it. Here's a hug for you. Hug of death. Hug of death." Almost had a third. But either way, the damage was done. And then the TK obviously was really just the icing on the cake, right? It just kind of finished the round right there. And then now you're in a 2v4, and not much you can really do in that situation most times. And obviously the position is known as well, makes it even harder there. Defense really acted on the information very quickly, able to, as you mentioned, very quick round their win. It's their first round 1, so good job for them. But after dropping 3 in a row, the best they can even hope for still is a split half.
I do want to point out that when we saw that player, I believe it was Louis, dropping down the hatch to get that final frag of, or to get those final 2 frags of the round, the timing when they dropped compared to the time they got the TK meant that the person playing on that, playing on that Zofia, I believe it was Flacco, had no clue they dropped. They were just standing there in shock. They just TK'd their teammate and they got shot in the back. So even more unfortunate timings for Juicers when it came to that entire attack. But they don't have to worry about basement anymore. And back upstairs where 1HP chooses to go, gym bedroom once again, where we're seeing a very similar composition to what we saw when they first defended. And well, that round was pretty easily won by Juicers. So we're going to have to hope that they are able to execute it better. But with Yoji getting killed off the rip, or Yeji, excuse me, that's not the greatest sign for this round.
That's your Valk. Hopefully through the cameras already, at the very least, so that there's no or less wasted utility. It's still a C4 gone, which hurts you, especially on a bomb site like this. That's why you saw them clear out from billiards last time, is because you can sit below and throw C4s up that hatch, and that's a common plant spot. So it made sense they cleared it, and you do see Flacco is down here holding it, right, just for that reason. But also a lot of angles are available. There's usually a rotate between the bomb sites on that wall that he's watching up through the hatch. So just really smart plays coming from Juicers, but also 1HP giving away a body early yet again. And this seems to be something that they've been struggling with round in and round out.
The only player on their team that is technically positive is Binya. As I said, that I realized that Chu is technically 3-3, so not negative per se, but they certainly aren't doing the greatest when it comes to the kill department, as Binya is going to try to see if they can maybe kill one of the players. Unfortunately, it fails to do so, as they do end up rotating back downstairs. They make it out with their lives, but damage has been done. They're going to play a little bit more passively, as we see now. A lot of pressure coming out. Goyo's shield being removed on top of that, bed itself, as a lot of space has been gotten when it comes to downstairs pressure for the attacker. The nade comes out. Unfortunate timing. almost kills Awani. Unfortunately, it does not. Gingy, in the meantime, going to get a double kill for themselves as Mr. Pixel gets one as well. Down to a 5v, once ult to Binya, who rotates out into the hallway, and it's Dunny on the stairs to secure that kill and fires right back with that 1 HP win with a flawless round, just to rub it in.
Yep. Another round won by Juicers, and 1 HP. They found some life in the basement, but you wonder if it was too little too late. Now they're going to try CC for the first time, going to a gym twice, bar twice, all of those with 0 wins on the board for themselves. So you have to question it at this point. You do have to. I mean, just to point it out, that is not normal. This is the normal bomb site. You would either go to first or second, depending on if you prefer basement. And I do like gym and bedroom. Don't get me wrong. I like it, but just it's still questionable if it's even better than this bomb site. I know this bomb site has been figured out pretty well. It's easy to get that wall open, but it still has its advantages, right? And that is because you are very comfortable and know all the angles way better probably than gym as a defender. And I think it's easier to retake. Gym's pretty hard to retake once you've lost it. You know, there's only so many avenues in which you can try and push back. And Juicers are all over those avenues. You saw Flacco, both hatches opened to watch down in basement and look above. It's hard to hold it. And Juicers just seem to have their A game brought here. They are on the drones. We saw their drone work just constantly picking out where these players are, even just the game sense to throw grenades up, knowing where the holds are from below that these players like to play in gym, and almost getting kills, at least doing massive amounts of damage, which usually lead to a kill later in the round. So something that 1HP just hasn't been able to counter, and it's hard to counter well-prepared teams.
One thing I do want to point out, operator-wise, that we are not seeing an operator like Wamai come out here for this site, which is really uncommon. Wamai, one of the most popular operators to see, especially when it comes to holding rafters as well. We haven't really seen Smoke be brought out at all, which is also really surprising. Those are two operators that especially recently have come into the meta super well. Obviously, Smoke has obviously been in there since time immemorial, but more recently with the buffs that has been given to Wamai and his disc in particular, he's been seeing a lot of play, and the fact that we're not seeing him be brought now in these games, for me at least, is very surprising. Obviously, bring operators like Castle, like Aruni, that do bring a lot of value to the team, but even still, not bringing those operators that can traditionally help you win games with the power they do provide, especially Smoke, the stalling power that he provides. It's certainly interesting. And what's also interesting is Mr. Pixel already getting a kill onto Binya, removing that top frag from 1 HP. Mr. Pixel has been having their number, currently sitting at 7-2. Crazy.
Yeah, and that's the top frag dead again early, and it hurts. And what also hurts, I think, is having Binya on the Jaeger. They were doing better off of the Jaeger, and yet now on the Jaeger, having a struggle. And Jaeger's gun isn't as good. It's still good, but not as good. Gingy gonna get that kill onto Louis, only to make things worse for 1 HP. Chu does get a refrag, and Yeji now bring it back to an even man count, so they still have some life left in them. They're not down and done yet. So, Chu, sitting in sight, is going to need some support. We do see Yeji is actually the one playing on stairs, kind of watching the push from below, and a lot of pushes from below. That's where they've started every round, it seems, for Juicers, so really good to be aware of that. Mr. Pixel going to kill onto Chu after he had just taken out Gingy. Now, yet again, even man count. A minute remaining, though, so plenty of time for these attackers. These defenders have to do a little bit of a dance just to buy some time.
We do see Yeji below. Doesn't have a C4 to potentially stop the plant, but it's going to be Flacco that opened things up by killing Awalni, and now it's all down to Yeji, who does have to, unfortunately, get around his own smoke. Does take quite a bit of damage from his. Flacco's going to go ahead and start getting the diffuser down now, but it does look like that Mr. Pixel knows where he is, and he will win out that fight. Another headshot kill. Very dominant round for Mr. Pixel, as they are able to, I guess, clutch up when it comes down to it. They were at a man disadvantage and secure that round. A very dominant half, especially when you're attacking on Clubhouse. They take that 5-1. This is looking dangerous for 1 HP.
Not in it was
Really quickly, Wealku has robo voice. Is it just me?
No, I do. It seems like that Welku has a bit of robo voice going on. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but hopefully he will be able to get that situated. I guess I'll take over for the moment, as we are going to see for the first round
Attackers need
of
to
this
locate and
half.
defuse as many
Juicers,
hostages.
they are going to head down to Basement First, which is a site that we were talking about as a very popular site to see be defended first. And the fact that 1HP only went down here once, it was the one site that they won. So grant that does somewhat prove.
And now I don't know if you just muted yourself because I'm not hearing you either, Power.
Activating camera.
I guess I'm the caster now?
Hi, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I think Discord's having a moment because my
Okay.
Discord just crashed. So, anyways, I'll go ahead and step back up
Take the
into
floor.
this.
I'm not the caster here.
Yeah, apologies. Technical difficulties. Hopefully, everything will be situated. But we'll go ahead and make sure the cast keeps going as it should, as we are seeing a very heavy roam game come out from Juicers, particularly their operators. Obviously, we see Dunny playing on that Vigil, the quintessential roam operator. But to open things up, it's actually going to be Louis getting the first frag onto Dunny, removing that Vigil that I was just speaking about. So that doesn't really even matter. We see Badger throw a C4 outside, trying to maybe get a frag there. Unfortunately, gets shot out in midair, so not a lot to happen. But chaos ensuing in the caster booth as well as in the match, as things are already getting really heavily underway. A ton of utility being thrown into the storage room as they try to potentially push down these stairs into blue itself. As we see Chu pushing in with that Osa, maybe trying to see if they can get done, but unfortunately, no one's sitting there. They've left that almost entirely open. And, well, now more fights can be breaking out. Binyak going down will get picked up at the last second, but Mr. Pixel will secure the kill. But Chu and Yeji fire back. Flak, however, gets the refrag as well. Down to a 2v3, but Jinji's down, so it's more like a 1v3 as Flacco is now forced to try and maybe get the frag here. Flashbangs coming out as Awani starts to try to plant. A C4 gets thrown in return, unfortunately, finds nothing. Shots fire out, try to get a player playing behind those Raptors. Unfortunately, no kills go their way. They do finally get the kill on the Louis, however, and get a bit of damage taken themselves, but do some on return to Awani. The flashbang doesn't work, and Flacco does take out Awani, and Chu gonna have to try to win this 1v1, trying to have to save Flacco from getting the clutch. Jinji is down, however, they do not know that, and they do actually secure the kill finally. 1v1 proper now, 20 seconds left remaining. They're gonna have to, one of them is gonna have to try to make a move here. Probably have to be Flacco, as it does seem Chu is gonna wait things out. They do have the diffuser down, as they are taking more shots back and forth. The diffuser is being stuck. He hears it. He pre-fire through the wall. Flacco gets off and tries to peek, but it's Chu will secure the kill with unfortunately no time remaining for the defuse to happen, even if they did secure it. And, well, that concludes a very chaotic round where, honestly, I had no idea what was going to happen.
Well, how's it sound? Am I still robot-y?
No, you're good now. You're good.
All right, good. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about either, but hey, uh, Flacco almost had a comeback there. That's really good on their part, just not able to quite win it out. Good job from 1HP. They're able to get in, get the plant down, have that man advantage, and almost lost it, but hey, they held on to it at the end of it all. And another round one for them. So first round of attack does go their way. So that's already spelling this to be better than what we had seen previously. They are looking a little bit more confident, I would say, on attack with the way that they are just taking ground very quickly. Obviously, there's a lot of chaos involved with it, but as you had said, good job for them being able to win out their first round. Now, what will the defense do? And they're going to go up to a gym and bedroom. So I guess CC is just hated by both teams.
I feel like that has become more and more of I guess,
True.
common opinion that CC is a site that not a lot of teams prefer to go to, and we're seeing that very heavily in this game, but I've been seeing it with other teams more recently. So I, for one, am not too surprised, but we'll have to see if it does end up getting played, how well it ends up working out for Juicers if they choose to go to the site. I assume if they do end up winning this round, they would go back down to the basement, but if they win that round, I doubt they'd be going down to bar, but I mean, I would have said that about 1HP, and they ended up going down there twice. So, you know, oh, it looks like we just lost Wealku again. So, oh, he's back. You good, Wealku?
Yep.
Okay.
That was actually my own fault on that one, so I take full responsibility. Looking at the lineup, they're bringing Osa again, so that's interesting that has been a mainstay in this lineup for this team in 2 rounds, and obviously that's just 2 rounds, but even then, you know, I wasn't sure how much play we would see from her. she obviously brings those shields that you put on windows and etc. And that's interesting to put it up and then hit it. The impact going to come through to destroy it right off the bat. And that is the real downside. It is pretty easy to get rid of if you have players with destructibility like that, some C4s or even impacts, just to take care of it real quick. But I do like the security she can give a planter, even if you just push them sight and it's in the dying moments. Maybe you know that they've used their utility. Gives you a little bit of a blanket to protect you as you're planting. So I do like her for that reason, and the smokes that she can bring. In this case, they brought Nate Claymore, but either way, she does have smokes capable of being brought. So I just like the player and the operator. Flacco getting that opening kill on a Beanyat, and as I mentioned before, Beanyat having a little bit rougher time in the last few rounds of their defense. Now here, not having too much greater of a time on the attack.
Badger gonna, almost surprisingly, I was almost sure that Lou was gonna get a headshot kill there, but unfortunately they do end up going down. SMG-11, a bit too powerful. We're gonna see Dunny taking quite a bit of damage, still being forced back on to that stairs, trying to make sure they don't get their, or don't make sure they don't lose their life, as Gingy does take some damage as well. The Frost not getting too much value, at least for the moment, but Awani does end up going down. Not entirely sure from where. It looks like it was going to be on that balcony, as Chu utilizing Osa's glass to try and maybe prevent someone from peeking out here, but at least for the moment it isn't happening. A kill does finally go on to Badger, so now 1 HP are only at a one-man disadvantage, but Awani is still down, and Chu is trying to make sure no one peeks him. Unfortunately, a double peek comes through, Gingy getting the kill, but does down Mr. Pixel, who hopefully will be able to get picked up, as it just leaves things pretty much all down to Yeji, as I don't think there's any possibility. Yep, Awani does end up going down there, but Yeji does pick up Dunny and then immediately peeks into the crossfire, or into the crosshair of Flacco. Flacco getting that final headshot kill with the MP5K will secure the round, and well, a bit of a crazy one once again.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, but I think Juicers looked a lot more comfortable on that hold than they did the round beforehand. I do like the different cross angles holding the window, of course, of CC paired with the other windows that are perpendicular to it. That's just great to have those crossfires, and to get a down on the Hibana outside of the window is not an easy thing. Usually it's a really more of an advantage to hold those windows for the attackers. In that case, the diffuser downed and we're never able to get help back up. Really good job just playing games with the mind of, I think, Chu it was on the Osa. Not sure how they're going to help their teammate up. They have to watch all these different windows. So things just playing out for Juicers on that defense. They're going to try downstairs again, though. We'll see if they're able to win it out. Last time it came close on the back of Flacco, trying to some heroics, not quite able to bring it home, but still making it closer than it probably should have been. 1 HP. They're probably looking to repeat on this bomb site, but can't let things slip too much like they almost did the last time.
Seeing Valkyrie come out once again. Wasn't played every round in this match, which honestly I find a bit surprising, but now Flacco bringing them out once again, going to provide a lot of intel, especially considering the roam game seems to be very strong. It looks like an extended roam going to be used here, as Mr. Pixel currently playing on the castle. So it seems quite strange that the top fraggers, at least for the first half, are both going to be playing on castle. We saw Beanyat really heavily playing castle as well, but Shu has overtaken them in terms of frags in the meantime. So unfortunately, I guess my point kind of goes to waste. But nonetheless, as the round goes ahead and continues, a very extended hold, like I mentioned, is being taken place, especially in construction, CCTV, and cash. We see Dunny up there, reinforcements placed as well. But in bar, going down to Gingy's POV, 2 castle barricades have been contributed. So a lot of work on 1 HP to potentially clear out this extended hold roam when it comes to the top floor and second floor. But they might just bypass it altogether, as they seem to be putting a bit of pressure near Stock and Dirt.
Dunny missing out on a drone there, so that's going to be information. Staying alive and constantly feeding information to those players who are below. Louis thought maybe was going to try it out, maybe throw a grenade, excuse me, up above. The pings are coming through, so might try it here. Has the capability, but we'll see if they're going to be as willing to do that as we saw Juices on their attack. Certainly we're using the grenades from below quite a bit. Here, though, didn't come through, so being a little more conservative. Wani able to push into Stock here, and Osa's already down there too, so can provide support for Chu as they push in through. the oil pit, and beyond generator, no one's there, so they could eventually find this out and start pushing. But these feet holes are certainly going to be something to deal with. It's going to be hard for them to get any ground gain. You're going to have to try another avenue. Yeji going to get that kill on the Gingy, though. That's going to be the opening kill. It comes a little bit later than we're used to seeing, about halfway through the round.
Yeji getting a double kill, removing the head of Badger this time as they start to push in from dirt very heavily. A triple as Flacco peaks and unfortunately isn't able to find the frags. Louis is very low, going to utilize their nanobots to stim up as Yeji is now pushed properly into the site. Looking into the A site, trying to see if they can maybe catch someone out, but Dunny is rotated into the A bomb. So Mr. Pixel is going to down Yeji, and as a matter of fact, and unfortunately the nanobots aren't going to be able to get a res. Dunny confirms the kill, but gets shut down by Awani, as going to be Bean that gets the final kill, killing Mr. Pixel with a very nice kill. And well, yeah, very hectic final few seconds, which seems to be the name of the game for this final half. There's always some time that's like hyper chaotic and it's difficult to tell what's going on. But in the end, it's going to be 1 HP that do come out on top, winning another round and showing that maybe basement isn't the site that juicers want to be going to.
Yeah, they've struggled there, and they looked pretty good on the gym and bedroom, which is interesting. You wouldn't think that normally. Most teams would arguably say basement's a better hold for them, but we see wacky things all the time in Sage, and that's just one more tally on that. But looking at what they're going to go in here, it's CC and Cash, and we haven't seen Juices try this bomb site yet. So I'm curious to see what is the hold going to be for them. Is it going to be standard, or are they going to try and mix it up a little bit? As we have seen from 1 HP, they're willing to mix things up, just bomb site alone, but didn't net them much. So they avoided CCTV. Was it worth avoiding? Maybe Juices can help us answer that question.
Valkyrie being brought out as well, though we are seeing Wamai being brought out by Gingy. I did mention how powerful Wamai can be when it comes to defending this this bomb site, especially when it comes to holding rafters. And well, it does look like that is where we're potentially going to see Gingy set up. Obviously, currently they are reinforcing the garage doors, which are some of the most important positions that you can actually reinforce that not a lot of players, when it comes to, ranked or potentially lower levels, do actually bother to reinforce, which is a bit unfortunate. But they are taking care of it. They know what they're doing, showing their prowess. And, well, considering that we didn't know if juicers really belonged here, as they did buy this spot, they've definitely been proving it so far. 6-3, obviously losing the couple of rounds when it comes to this half, but very dominant first attacking half proves that they certainly do belong here.
Yeah, looking a lot more comfortable, arguably, on the attack, as they only won one of those rounds of defense. And so far, out of 3 attacking rounds, they've got 2 of them, but that ratio isn't going to be enough. All Juicers have to do is win 1 more of these last 3 rounds of regulation, and they will win this map and go on to map 2 with that first map 1. Now, 1 HP, they have to win this round and 2 more afterwards if they want to stay alive and get to overtime. And then from there, I'm not sure who the overtime sides would be. But in any case, that's a lot of rounds to get in a row. So we'll see if they can go on a tear. They look pretty good, though, and comfortable on the attack that we've talked about. Last round, they were in a man advantage for a while there, and a lot of it came on the back of Yeji, who, being the hard bridger, not the person you would expect to start fragging out. But with the AK in hand, it's not that surprising.
The wall being open, a perfectly good view into site itself. But no kills going through yet. Another round where kills are going to be coming in late, it seems. Although as I say that, Mr. Pixel does get the kill onto Chu, removing the Osa from the board. Hopefully they place all of their, I guess shields would be the right word for it. But now it's Beanyas trying to get some frags. They go ahead and pick up a 2K on the Dunny and Flacco. Now pushing in here, trying to maybe pick up the player playing on top of rafters. But no dice so far. It's going to be Yeji who instead picks them up, but Badger swings out with the intel and is able to pick them up. Mr. Pixel on the flank will get shut down by Beanyat, though. No kills going in for Mr. Pixel, and unfortunately, Badger just kind of walks into the crosshair of Awani, and with that, another round is on the board for 1 HP. It seems like, despite this being a defender-sided map, that the attackers have been having the advantage when it comes to this series so far.
It is interesting. Badger at the end there, I'm just going to kind of leave it alone. I'm not going to make too much comments. I think we all saw what happened there. But looking at before that, it was really interesting because they were doing pretty well with the frags on the defensive side. And then things just kind of started falling apart. You saw the push down in garage door on the flank, Mr. Pixel, but you should expect them to have a drone. You can't really slow peek that. You had to push that faster if you really wanted to catch the Zofia unawares, but didn't do so. Gave enough time for Beanyat to just flip around and get that kill. It's pretty easy. I mean, that's a common place for a drone to be watching. And so it's just kind of a questionable play to me. But all in all, it is what it is. Juicers have to try another site, and they're going to go back to gym and bedroom. So this is a site that they did, I believe, win last time. So they're going to need to win it again to finish this map off. Otherwise, it could be letting momentum pick up for 1 HP, and they could bring it to overtime.
That would be an insane comeback. Taking the first half 5-1 and then eventually going to overtime would be absolutely insane. They would have to make no more mistakes when it comes to these next 2 rounds they want to do it. And, well, it certainly is possible. They've been able to have pretty solid attacking rounds in the previous couple of rounds, but they haven't won gym bedroom yet. That has so far been their one piece of kryptonite that has prevented them from currently being tied with Juicers at 5-5 if they had won that previous round. So now with another lineup of operators that looks fairly similar to what they brought the previous time around, I'm expecting them to once again be able to put up at very least a formidable defense. As we see, they are extending to some degree over into CCTV and cash, like is typical when it comes to defending gym and bedroom, but not as heavily, not as many reinforcements committed over onto that side of the map as compared to what we saw when 1HP were defending. Love to see if this slight change up of strategy results in them being able to secure the win here, or if 1HP are going to be able to come back despite losing previously.
And this is the nerf that was done, I think, to mute, where it doesn't catch the top, and now you see just what teams are able to do to just circumvent that, then be like, oh, okay, sweet, we can just blow it up from above, and then the mute jammer does nothing. So that's an unfortunate change. Obviously, certain walls you can't repel on, so he still has use in his jammers, but overall, it has really limited his usability. Seeing Mr. Pixel go below, I'm just going to play patiently, hope that they can catch someone here. C4 is right there, and there it is. Beanyat taking out the board. Opening kill coming from a C4 from below, from down under. And that's going to allow Juicers to try and ride this one out here. 1-man advantage, a minute into the round. That's already going to buy a little bit of time, a little bit of hesitation going to come out from 1 HP now, as they're going to be thinking about who's below me right now. Am I going to get blown up?
And that right there is the power of Valkyrie shown in full force. Having a player like Badger just sit on that camera and wait for you to detonate that C4 of literally the freest kill that you could possibly see be gotten. Almost no danger being put onto Mr. Pixel themselves. And that's why you see Valkyrie banned so much. Even if that nerf had gone through, that still would have happened. That camera wasn't outside. So I feel like that is an excellent example as to why she is banned so often. And now we see them going to still be playing from below. Not with the C4 this time, but with a nice little angle up, I believe, into construction. As Diffuser is currently down. Not entirely sure where. It looks like it might be outside, or it might just be caught inside of construction, which is a bit interesting. Not entirely sure if that's the best place for it to be. Obviously, you would like to have someone have it, but they seem to be avoiding it like the plague for some reason. If it is outside, I'm very confused as to why Osa hasn't gone and picked it up yet.
Well, 1 impact left. You saw the Wamai tried to throw it at the Osa shield, but should have taken it back in time to save it. And that's a unique skill that she's able to do that. It doesn't work that way when you're putting down a defensive shield, certainly. So gonna use the boost, the Finka boost, to try and just allow them to have a little bit more HP. I do like the frost being brought. I think that Pogmats are sweet, so I'm hoping someone actually jumps in here. It is the dying moments of the rounds. They have to start pushing soon. Louis gonna get that opening kill for his team, bringing it back to an even man count. Badger, though, gonna get a kill with the SMG-11 in hand onto Louis. Yeji, though, going hardcore, getting a double kill. Flacco trying to bring it back onto Awani. Chu finding Flacco, and now all of that chaos leaves us in a 1v2. Mr. Pixel on defense in a man deficit now, so things are looking poor, but could make it happen here. Pushing up, the plant will come through, though. Unfortunately, not able to get there in time. Yeji coming so alive for the team, getting a triple in the round and allowing them to finally win on this bomb site. It's a 1 apiece now, and you have to wonder what is going through the minds of Juicers. Are they going to let this slip one more round and it's overtime?
If 1HP are able to win this next round and take us to overtime, that would mean that both halves on Clubhouse of all maps were 5-1 in favor of the attackers. That's insane. I don't think I've ever casted a match that's been like that before. I've seen some crazy comebacks, but usually they're on the defense. Players just, not having the greatest time on attack, but then once they get onto their defensive side, they're able to bring it back towards them. But 1HP, they've truly come alive on this attacking half. And while there have been some rounds that have been a little bit, not the greatest for them in terms of their execution, they have gone down to very close 1v1s before. They're able to win it out in the end. And that's honestly, no matter how scrappy it is, what's important is you win those rounds. That's what ultimately matters in the end, and that's what they've been able to do so effectively so far. And well, now Juicers, they're gonna head down the basement. They didn't win this one last time, but honestly, I think it might be a done deal. I'm gonna put my money on it. I think that 1HP are going to do what seems like some of the impossible and take us to overtime after being down 5-1 in their first half.
Well, they are 1 HP. 1 HP in a dream, and in this case, it could come true. It's very uncommon, as you mentioned. How many times have I even seen this? I've probably seen it one time, I think, when I've been casting, when we go down 5-1 and you think it might be a blowout, and so much security being down or up that much, excuse me, on the other side of it, you would think that it wouldn't be that hard just to find 2 more rounds to win the map, and yet here we are at 6-5, and things not looking good for Juicers. They've lost on this bomb site 2 times already. They haven't won it a single time. They didn't choose to go back to Gym, which I wonder, is that the right play? That's the only one they did win so far, but at the same time, going to the same bomb site twice, also kind of a cardinal sin, so I don't know. But we'll see how it plays out for them. 1 HP, though, looking like they have a lot of momentum behind them. It's certainly their round to win or lose here. Juicer's just going to play from the back seat here and see if they can just ride it out.
Does it look like their roam game is pretty strong? It seems like they instead just mostly want to just have a pretty central hole, trying to prevent the hatches from getting open, and they will do so. Just barely at the nick of time, however, keep that hatch open. They can shoot into the site, but can't drop down it. We do see players pushing in from... Or no, I saw someone pushing in from dirt. Excuse me. There's the defender sitting in there. We do have players pushing down the main stairs as well. We did see the hatch into Moto get open, so there are other avenues of attack, but preventing that main hatch on kitchen from being open could potentially be devastating. But it does look like they will be able to use the thermite charge to finally get it off, finally get it open. And now, well, maybe took a little bit, but they were able to get it open. And it does look like I was right. There was someone inside of dirt. It was Yeji, who ended up getting their head taken off by a Badger. Did the decent bit of damage in the meantime onto them, but man advantage now in favor of Juicers. Maybe my premonition was wrong. Maybe I cast a curse. Maybe they don't end up winning this.
Wow. Owani also taken out. Gingy with the flank, a double. This is spelling disaster now. 1 HP. Can they bring it back? A 2v5 now, and this is looking real dire for them. They can't afford to slip any further. They need to find some frags here, and now with only a minute remaining, this looked like they were about to go for a rush, and Gingy had plans just to stop it in the nick of time, and now with the 2v5 on the board, it's almost insurmountable, excuse me, there's not a lot of avenues for them to push. They do have the hatch open. They could go for that, but in a 2v5, how many angles can be watched on you? Shu gonna maybe try and pair up with a teammate by dropping here, but so far we're just waiting and waiting for this final push to come through, as it is just gonna be a miraculous comeback if they can win this round.
35 seconds left remaining, and really good angles. They're not peeking. They're not playing aggressive. They're just letting the players on 1 HP try and take their time. A smoke grenade does come out to potentially cut off dirt, but some shots come in, and it's going to be Mr. Pixel and Gingy to get those 2 headshot kills. A flawless round to secure that win. It looked desperate towards the end, but they were able to get that 2-4 half, which is just an, or 2-3 half, excuse me. That is just enough for them to be able to secure this map. GG's to both of these teams. That's only map 1. We still have at least one more ahead of us, where maybe this time 1 HP will be able to have that comeback, or at the very least show up completely towards Juicers.
Yeah, brought it close. Honestly, you almost counted them out earlier on, and yet 1 HP is showing that they can survive on that amount of HP, right? They can almost make it work. In this case, not quite able to make that miracle happen, but still, it's going to put them in a good position. They didn't lose in a blowout, which can really be bad for mental. They did bring it back, just not able to quite get it there. Still something to stand on, though. We will be taking, I believe, a short break before we come back, and we'll be back with Chalet for that second map. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the match between Juicers and 1HP Esports. My name is PowerOftheStorm, joined by the lovely Wealku over here to my left, and we are about to get into map 2 in this series after a very close map 1 on Clubhouse, in which Juicers did end up taking the lead. See a little tick come up right there, right above me, and well, now we're heading to Chalet, and we're going to be jumping into it relatively short.
Let's jump in right now. Let's go.
Now
Into
let's go.
Chalet.
Woo!
We'll see what the map or the operator bans will be. Last time we saw some pretty standard bans, nothing surprising. I mean, the main thing surprising maybe was the Maverick, which you sometimes see banned. I think that's gone down compared to what we have seen in the past, but it still happens here and there. So it wasn't super uncommon. Here on Chalet, we've mentioned there's a lot of experimental takes coming in with like where do we want to defend and even just how they defend it. There's been some versatility here. On the bans, not so much. It really probably is going to be the Thatcher. And then sometimes you Flores because shields are pretty important. But otherwise, you know, just kind of the same old Mira, Valk, Cade on defense. So I'm not expecting too much change up here.
And we do see an interesting ban, at least in my opinion, come out here. Thermite getting
He's the
banned
question mark.
out by 1HP as their attacker ban. A bit interesting. You wouldn't typically think that Thermite would be the main operator that you would go to be banned. And also Wamai being banned by 1HP. That one I can understand a bit more, although it is more uncommon. Like I mentioned, Wamai is very strong. 1HP don't particularly like to play it based on what we saw on their defensive half. But the Thermite just, you would think Thermite, Habana, those would be more valuable, or excuse me, not Thermite, sorry, Maverick Habana would be more valuable than banning Thermite. And we see finally the Valkyrie ban come out, but I can't make sense of that ban. And same with the players in chat. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I think they saw the use of the Thermite to open above the mute constantly, and it opens a huge thing, right? Which is why it doesn't matter if there's the mute, because even if you put it above, you saw it pretty much got all the way down. You can just walk through still. You don't have to worry about little things being below, so it's a vault instead of just a walkthrough, right? That's my guess, because we did see Juicers play it every time, I think every round. So I think it's more of a counter ban to what they were doing to them with the mute jammers. And then 1HP, you saw that Yeji is constantly on the ace, and in this case, they're actually going to go to the line. But we saw him on ace last round, so the hard breach that they seem to prefer was the ace in tandem with another one. In this case, they're actually just going to bring Hibana. They're not even bringing Maverick, so a bit interesting. Like you mentioned, though, the Wamai ban makes sense. I mean, as I mentioned, this is a shield map, so protecting shields, you get the Wamai combo. They're going to start in a little bit different place than I would expect. This isn't an uncommon bomb site, but certainly you'd expect bar and upstairs before kitchen dining.
I've come to expect from these teams that nothing is set in stone when it comes to the sites we're going to be seeing here. And we mentioned in the beginning that this map in particular has, you can pretty much play any bomb site, and well, we saw the full rotation of bomb sites on Clubhouse, something you don't typically see. You don't typically see teams go down to VAR. And well, I expect this full rotation of bomb sites when it comes to this map as well. I genuinely feel like that any one of them could be likely to be picked, and there's cause for picking all of them. So it'll really just come down to what teams don't like it comparatively, you know?
I have to say, sorry to interrupt in the end of your phrase there, but that lion scan in the beginning when you're just getting out of spawn is probably one of the most useless things you can possibly have. If someone's spawn peeking, they're not moving, and otherwise you're not going to be able to shoot anyone. You're not going to glean like any information. They can just stop. They get the heads up, you know, the countdown before it actually activates. So it literally is just a waste of a lion skin. We're going to see a quick push in with some drones and such. So they're already pushing in through libraries. You can see that's not unexpected. The amount of ground that is being gleamed is pretty decent chunk. So hopefully some players from below can help slow it down. And well, Donnie's just going to get aggressive on the piano window, take out Beanyat for the opening kill. Beanyat opening death quite often, even though they had a pretty decent game in the last map. It's still not something you'd like to see. Matt Bonger going to be subbed in here. Gonna take the edgy off, and Mr. Pixel getting in and out on the action as well. Hawani off the board. Chu and Louis, two of the better players from last map that we had seen, especially early on. They're gonna be trying their best, but Dunny on a tear now. Chu, second body found, and Louis stuck outside, diffuser down right in front of their face, and this is just looking like a round loss already.
Very aggressive play coming out from the players on Juicers, and well, we're gonna see them running outside, try to get that kill. It's gonna be the L85, the revolver, securing that player towards the end there after a couple of players took a bit of damage and went down. So a very crazy map, all things considered, excuse me, crazy round, all things considered, very heavily in favor of Juicers. Basically a flawless round, barring that one player going down. So with that, we're going to see Wine Cellar Snowmobile Garage being picked out. Again, you would expect bar and gaming and then the upstairs office site to be brought out first, but instead they're going the two sites that you typically see be brought out last, or sometimes not even at all when it comes to this. So it seems like it's Juicer's turn to kind of bring out some unconventional bomb site choices, whereas that's what we saw 1HP bring out very heavily when they were defending.
It's very strange. That's all I can really say. The hard breach being brought to when you have Kate available and how annoying it is. And then also Hibana, you have a main wall upstairs that you would expect them to go upstairs. And then on top of it, even going down below here, you have the boiler wall and other walls that you would want to open up, depending on the take, of course, obviously the snowmobile wall as well. But I'm just wondering why you'd bring Hibana over Ace when, you know, by convention, it's just Ace is better on this map. So it's just interesting decisions all around. Well, I'm not sure. I think Power, you might have muted your mic, but in any case, I'll keep going.
I'm back. I apologize.
Oh, all right.
I am so sorry, but yes. Anyways, it is worth pointing out. Unfortunately, I didn't hear if you mentioned it, but Mira is going to be on the board. Matt Bonger, the substitute player, bringing that out. Mira's pretty strong on this site in particular, although we typically see her being placed not on the outside snowmobile garage door itself. Typically, it is placed further back. You put them inside of the wine cellar walls, and well, so I'm not entirely sure what the strategy for Juicers is, but we'll have to hope that it does end up working out, as at least for the moment, they do have the man advantage, or it's not the man advantage, they have the round advantage, so I would hope that they're going to be able to keep it and continue to fight forward and do well, but very interesting choices all around.
Indeed. You can see the clear coming through. They're going to have to deal with the, well, ghosts now, as they've already disappeared, but there were some players playing in games in bar stock, and that was Dunny, I believe, who already gone back to site. So now it's just going to be time wasted for that defense, able to buy that time simply because of that roam that was there earlier, no longer. But as we saw with the outlines, there is another player still playing above, and then another one playing near west main stairs. Pixel, though, getting that opening kill on to Yeji Sosa, who was one of the top players on attack in the last map for 1HP. Off the board here, playing that lion instead of the ace. So another thing that's interesting to point out is the role change, and hasn't really paid off so far. 2 deaths, no kills, and that's going to put a man advantage and half of a round already locked out for Juicers.
I'm guessing C4's coming up will do a bit of damage onto B now. Potentially maybe Dunny, who is currently playing over near the west main entrance, putting some shots off. Unfortunately, no kills going their way. They will decide to rotate back. Oh, the timing. Mr. Pixel got droned out, stood up from the red ping, and right as it happened, they get their head taken off by Beanyat. Very nice work from them to be able to secure that, but there still are a few players that are currently on the roam. One person playing inside a kitchen could potentially be an issue for Beanyat if they don't get droned out, and well, unfortunately, that was the case. Jinji picking up Beanyat, getting that frag, and putting the man advantage back in favor of Juicers. Dunny getting another one as Louis drops down into fireplace, and they get killed by Dunny this time, the player playing inside of kitchen. Now it's going to be up to a Wani to try to push in here and maybe get the frag onto them. They will get it. The timing is there, and they will remove that Jaeger that was on the roam, but they still have to worry about the rest of the players. Chu will get Jinji, however, from below, so things are now down to 2v2, but 30 seconds left remaining. There's still plenty of time for 1HP to maybe get down into sight and get the plant down, but with smoke being thrown out now, that could potentially make things even more dangerous. Chu dropping down the fireplace stairs will get a headshot kill onto Matt. Now it's all down to Badger. Their smoke grenades being thrown out, trying to prevent the drop, but they got to worry about the main stairs. They get a headshot kill with the SMG-11, and they can't get inside. They're having to use the Hibana pellets to get open the main wall, and they do get it open. They're throwing flashbangs in, but they're just able to take a shot at them. They have to get back and plant, and they get the headshot. He peeked and he got his head removed. Oh my god, that should have been a done deal for.
Why are you peeking? You have no time left. Just let it go. Hide. Why are you picking that? That was a brain dead play. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it straight. That was the round 1. You had the wall getting opened up with 7 seconds left. Even if they push in, they have to immediately plant. They have no possible way of getting to your location and getting you. Just hide behind the mirror. Don't peek it. It's already open. Just kneel down. Then you peek up when the timer is at 0, 0, 0, or maybe even half a second after that, just in case. And then you know they have to be planting if the round's still going. Otherwise, you won.
Yeah.
That was not necessary whatsoever. And the other thing, I was already kind of upset with Juicers because Matt Bonger in the 2v2 wide swung the basement stairs and didn't need to on main stairs there. Just leave it alone. You had time on your side. And also, if you're going to peek, do an angle peek. Their body was wide open. You even saw the late come out from the attacker. I think it was... I'm trying to remember who it was actually, but either way, they were able to get the kill only because it was a wide swing. And then at the end, you still had Badger, who got the kill. I thought a really nice shot onto Chu, I believe, playing on the Iana, and yet at the end decides to make a terrible position, allowing 1 HP now to tie up the rounds.
Well, with that round unfortunately going the way it did, Juicers they are now going to head to Bar Gaming, where they are once again going to be bringing out that mirror to help them set up the site, as well as set up library upstairs, allow them to have a bit of an easier time holding it, which isn't too surprising. This is what we see a lot of teams tend to do when it comes to them holding the site. But they're also going to be bringing a alibi, which will allow them to potentially get a bit of intel on players who might not be making the smartest choices to where they decide to put their bullets, but it could also just be for the deployable shield and for the roam game that she does bring. And she does have she has a 3 speed, and she does have a very powerful gun, so the potential for fragging could be massive. But it's going to, starting things out, it's going to be the Twitch to get open that mirror window utilizing their drone, and well, it's going to make holding library a little bit more difficult, as now they have to hold it back.
Dunny going for a peek, gets taken out. Shu is actually going to get a kill onto Matt Bonger. So Dunny is just down, not finished off, but still certainly could be. And they're going to be helped up, but very little HP left. See the jump through? It's going to be caught by Gingy. They're just lying in wait. Solid cross angle, but things are just going all yellow or orange now. It's going to be Beanyat going to get a kill. And Yeji getting in on the action as well. Dunny, with very little HP, is left alone with Badger to try and clutch this one out in a 2v4. We're not even halfway through the round, and this is the danger that lurks when you go to bar without a Wamai, and there's not a lot you can necessarily do. Badger gonna get a kill onto Yeji, try and bring it into a reasonable situation, but still not great. Plant going down, it's going to be completed by Beanyat, and now the 1v3 post-plant situation for the Smoke. It's pretty much a done deal unless they can get some 1v1s. The Smoke is going to be able to use a Babe to choke off Chu and make them leave the blue stairs, but they're not even going that direction. Slowly creeping up, trying to find where the body is, looks the wrong way. Louis able to cap off that round with the win and put them ahead in the round count for their first time, I think, in this matchup.
A very dominant opening round, all things considered, absolutely taking it to, or not opening round, excuse me, but opening half of this round, able to take it to Juicers, and then Willow just clean up from there. Very nice work from 1 HP, showing that they may have only barely won that second round, but they're going to capitalize off that win and continue to push forward and taking it to Juicers. And it is worth pointing out, after a loss like that, when you barely let it slip away from you after having the advantage, you dominate them in the round, and then it comes down to the final second and you lose it, there's a decent chance that your mental might be a little bit weaker after that, and that could potentially prove to be devastating for Juicer if they aren't able to pull it together. It could result in catastrophe for them in this matchup.
Well, luckily they're able now to go back to kitchen and dining, the round that they had started off the map on and won. And I also would say that if they're able to win this, they're probably going to try basement again, because as we said, close round should have been won, but made a poor decision in the end to lose them the round. It's something that is obviously correctable. So you would think that that's still a viable bomb site for them. Hopefully they can obviously clean it up and just win it this time instead of letting it slip. But first, it is this bomb site of kitchen dining, which has a lot of vertical hold necessary on the defensive side. You can't give it up too quickly. Honestly, if you give it up, I think within the first 2 minutes, you want to hold it out and let only a minute remain in the round if you're going to give it up. Otherwise, there's plenty of time for them to do verticality. And this is a bomb site where verticality is probably the worst, maybe even on the whole map for the defenders if you don't have that pressure. So if you can't hold out above, it's pretty much going to spell disaster for you.
Both the Italian operators being brought out with their shotgun pistols, helping the mute in this case, no smoke on the board, to be able to set up the site. Bit of an interesting choice not bringing a smoke on the board, instead just supplementing them for a mute, but no more mute. Mr. Pixel getting killed off the rip by Yeji, getting caught out of position. A bit of an unfortunate situation all around, and well, with that, to the man advantage firmly in favor of 1 HP, that doesn't seem well for them. If there's anything to boom your mental, it's, well, it would be what's happening to Juicers right now. Alliance Scan does come out, and it results in Beanyot's death as they get too aggressive. We're going to see the Arun or the Amaru come up from the hatch and actually get their head taken off while they are trying to pull out their gun. And then, well, also Awani gets killed in the process. So despite the opening kill going away with 1 HP, a minute off the board, they are down to a 4-2. I don't know, this is looking pretty difficult, but they did come back from a 4-2 just 2 rounds ago, so the hope is still there for them.
Certainly, they just need a couple of picks to go their way, a couple maybe even peaks to go their way. These defenders very aggressive and give up bodies sometimes. Chu gonna get that kill on to Badger. Now it's gonna put them in a 2v3. Chu finding one, but Genji got the trade with them. So that's at least going to shut them down and put it into a 2v1 for these defenders. So still a lot of damage done to them, but they have the man advantage retained. But the peak coming from the stairs, Matt Bomber able to find Yeji's head, and they are able to secure the round.
Like I said, looking a little bit difficult with that first opening death, especially with it happening within the first couple seconds of the round. But they're able to come right back. Alliance Scan, presumably based upon the timing of it, made the players on 1 HP feel more confident in being able to win those gunfights, and they picked a lot of players that knew where they were coming from, and they got killed for it. They also tried a bit of an interesting strategy, having the Amaru come up from the kitchen hatch, which didn't exactly work out the best. I know that 1 HP like their Amaru rushes. I've seen them do quite a bit, especially on maps like Cafe, which I'm expecting them to do if we do end up going into that map. But that may not have been the best, not necessarily rush, just back entry into the site. Didn't work out for them, and well, I doubt we're going to be seeing it for the rest of this map. So in any event, it was entertaining to watch.
My main complaint on it was the timing wasn't great. There was no other noise to distract that defender in sight. They need to pair it with like a lion scan or really anything, a lot of noise above. If you had, especially vertical play, and they were starting to get some vertical control there. They just needed someone to start opening up the floor and maybe even push that player to make them move around in the kitchen dining area. That would have bought enough time and even sound to cover the Amaru pushing up through the hatch. So I don't dislike Amaru pushes up through hatches like that into sites if it's done well, but right there they just hope that no one was there. I think is probably what it came down to, because there was nothing to mask the sound, and it's pretty loud, so just wasn't executed well, I would argue.
Seems like a pretty reasonable assumption to make. In any event, as this round goes ahead and continues, we're pointing out that Echo is being brought on the board when it comes to them defending this site, and that site is going to be for the first time office and master bedroom. So with that being on the board, we're going to have to see how Juicers decide to defend this, and it looks like a bit of an extended roam downstairs as well as an extended site hold is what they are choosing to go for. It's a bit interesting, especially considering that a lot of the teams when they attack the site just choose to go in through library and totally bypass the first floor altogether. It might mean that the players on 1 HP have to be concerned about people coming up from the fireplace stairs or coming up from the back stairs themselves, but in any event, they're not too worried about that right now, as they've taken most of library control and they're getting a bit of pressure onto the outside balcony. But
I love that drone. Just want to point that out. Sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, so I was just like watching that drone. I'm like, that's awesome, man. I don't see that very often. I know sometimes you'll see Valcams thrown up there, but to see an Echo drone placed on the beams above, and it's a flat drone, so they can't actually see it from the angles. You can't see much, yeah, but sound is still feeding information. So these defenders are going to have all the information they could possibly want in terms of, well, there's at least one body there, and usually you can distinguish even more than that. So you might be able to determine there's multiple bodies over and above on the mezzanine, most likely. I doubt the sound would travel very well from below, but either way, it's just a really good drone. We're going to see the Twitch drone is going to be helping out, though, with clearing a lot of utility. It's going to allow these attackers to try and get an execute on the main wall. See Hibana starting to use the hard breach to open some holes up. This is a very common take, but is it enough? I feel like it needs to be paired with something, and that's why you see someone trying to push on to the bathroom window. But Dunny is lying in wait, so it could find a kill. Going to see that his swing comes out, and, well, he gives his position up, and Yeji's going to get that opening kill.
Trying to go prone on the floor to maybe try and prevent them from getting the frag. Unfortunately, the time isn't there. Now, it's Matt Bonger's turn to try to maybe swing and get a frag, but Mr. Pixel actually gets one instead onto Louis. Jinji also gets one to Chew, and Yeji is down as Matt Bonger picks up Beanyat. And so now it's all down to Hawaii, who gets killed from a C4 from below, removing that final player on the side of 1 HP. And with that, Juicers, they take another round after a bit of a bit of an interesting few rounds. They have another dominant one, this time finally going to that upstairs site, where you would think a lot of players they prefer to go to that site. That's the site that we see them played the most often on Chalet. They finally go there and they win pretty convincingly. So surprising they didn't decide to go there sooner, but maybe they just wanted to save it for when they know they needed it.
So that was pretty chaotic, and I'll admit that I didn't quite catch everything, and so I was wondering, did Yeji jump in, or was he the one going over the piano window? Because my two thoughts would be either I wish he would have jumped into the window of the bathroom to give that backside push, which gives better cross angles than trying the piano one, or if he did and got killed, then just good job for a defender to replace the Jaeger who was killed and being able to watch that angle. But I don't know which one happened. Either way, it was a good attempt, but Juices seemed really ready for it. And it makes you wonder why they didn't go to that bomb site.
Certainly, and well, now we are going to see them head back down to the basement bomb site. So because of that, well, I'm expecting a very similar hold to what they did last time, but they don't have a mirror on the board, so they can't have the similar hold. So I don't know what I'm talking about. It seemed I respect them wanting to change things up, but honestly, if they had just executed that better, they could have very easily won that round and not had to worry at all about changing up their strategies. But I guess, changing it up simply because of the fact that you want to have something different, you don't want the players on 1 HP to know what you're going to do every time, it is respectable. But hopefully we'll have to see if this change of strategy ends up working out for them.
I think perhaps it comes from the idea that we didn't like how close it was. We feel even more confident with this. Also, the mirrors were opened up, and my imagination for that is that it was the Twitch drone, and so they're aware of that, and they don't feel like trying to watch out for it. It's just one extra pressure for them. And so maybe they just feel more comfortable not bringing the mirror because they're going to get opened up anyway by that Twitch drone. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a few reasons why I can see it. And you also mentioned that maybe they just want to mix it up. Don't let the setup be predictable. So a lot of different reasons. Whichever one, I think there's good reasoning behind it. I'm going to see that these attackers were pushing in pretty quickly. They're droning out a defender playing above, and now we do see the push coming in from the backside into the boiler area. And that's certainly where this main push seems to be happening.
Grenade being thrown, trying to clear out that Goyo shield, and after burning the ADS, they do finally get rid of it, causing one of the players playing back inside of the wine cellar to have to drop. Now, we are seeing players like Mr. Pixel get pressured out upstairs as they are currently roaming, but Dunny as well as having to rotate all the way around. We do see Matt Bonger actually pick up the very first go onto Yeji, but Mr. Pixel follows it right back up by killing Awani. The diffuser going down as well as the main count from 1 HP. It's now 5v3 in favor of Juicers, as smoke grenades come out to try and mask maybe some players rotating or just prevent 1 HP from pushing in. But Louis is there on the draw, gets the refrag onto Dunny, and well, now it's going to be up to the rest of the players to try to bring things back. Mr. Pixel does end up getting Louis, but Beanyat gets Jinji in return. 3v2, Badger swings with a shotgun and absolutely takes off Beanyat's head, and Matt Bonger is there to finish things off with Legion, getting another headshot to secure that round. Once again, very, very hectic, but in the end, it is going to be a 4-2 half for Juicers in this map.
And I've mentioned that this can oftentimes be an attacker-sided map. So to see Juicers hold out so well defensively, it's a testimony to their setups. But also, just knowing the map and playing it well and in general seems to be something that they've had a very good time with. We've seen the clears on their attacking clubhouse. They were able to go below because they knew what angles defenders like to play. So we always clear out below first before we go for executes on defense. Similar things with their defensive roam being kind of that push out. Let's make them buy time or waste time, excuse me, to push us out and get us, and then try and get and execute because we know where they're going to try and normally take first, which is a lot of the upstairs if you're on a lower site, if there's a level above you, right? And so we saw that last round even. We're not going to let you clear out the roamers properly. They hit in little angles and then they peeked at holes and got kills, and both of the clearers above died, and then that pretty much was around because the diffuser was also down up there. So really good job from Juicers playing things just really strategically well on 1 HP. They still got 2 rounds, so you know it's decent, but they're gonna want a little bit better of a defense on this map certainly than what we saw from them on Club.
And the controlled aggression is another thing that is worth pointing out that Juicers were able to work with so well, knowing, especially in that final round, when to effectively swing. We saw it happening from Badger on with that SAS shotgun. Just the timings on which were just absolutely perfect. We're able to shut down the players that, were being a little bit complacent, maybe just didn't expect anyone to do that. But anyways, enough talking about the previous round. Onto this half, which is going to start out with Juicers on the attack, 1 HP on the defense. And well, they decided to really heavily reinforce off I'm not entirely sure what this site is. I hardly ever see anyone even play in there, much less reinforce it off, but I guess it's just the main garage. They fully reinforced it off, putting so many of their reinforcements over there, but I guess it does allow them to extend into that area of the map itself, and it will cause the remaining players inside of Juicers to have to change their avenue of attack and perhaps have to focus on attacking it up here on the second floor instead of worrying about pushing in from the bottom floor for the most part. And well, that's what it seems to be doing. It seems to be working out for them for the moment, as Louis has already gone down to Mr. Pixel, playing on that 0, an operator that we also don't see very often. This is a very interesting round altogether. This is all over the place.
Oh yeah, for sure. And something worth note is like this is why it's an attacker sided map very awesome is you just saw the pinch coming out. It's hard to roam because there's so many soft walls. You don't have enough reinforcements to take care of all that, especially when you have a bomb site below. Gingy, a nice shot on the edge, just waiting for the peek come through. A little bit of misfire from Binya is going to cost them their life as Matt Bonger is able to hit theirs. And now it's a 2v5 situation. 1 HP have a little bit of a dream going here if they want to win this round because it is not looking good. Gingy following it up onto Chu now. Now it's all on Awani. They're in a 1v5 situation. As the smoke, they can find one onto Mr. Pixel, but there's plenty more to be found and a lot of time to buy too. Minute and a half, but Dunny with the LMG in hand, able to just eventually find the mark.
I mean, just so many bullets. You just continue holding mouse 1. There's almost nothing that anyone can do when you're on the defense. You basically just have to hold an angle and pray to God that no one gets aggressive on you from a different one. So unfortunate situation at the end there, but a very good round from Juicers, being able to really quickly clear out the roamers on 1 HP, absolutely demolishing them, especially considering that was their first round attacking. They had no idea how 1 HP were going to play that, presumably, unless they've gone back and watched VODs. But in any event, dominant, absolutely dominant coming out there from Juicers. And if that's what we're going to be seeing in this half, this might be over fairly quickly. But that, like I said, that is only round 1. So as we go into round 2, we are going to see, instead of them choosing to hold basement, they are instead going to head to Bar Gaming, where they're going to be bringing an opera lineup that is fairly similar, but we're going to be seeing the Lord being brought out here along with the smoke, which you don't typically see too often.
This is certainly something that I have seen simply because I think that I've maybe casted this map a little bit more. I'm not sure how often you've seen this map, but I've seen it actually quite a bit. And with that, I remember even Mr. B, I was interviewing him because they had played it and done the same thing. And they had brought the Tachanka, and I was like, hey, in the interview, I was like, why did you bring Tachanka? That's an interesting choice over the smoke. And it was instead of smoke, but in this case they have smoke too. And he was just saying that with the angles that are available in doorways that you're trying to stop, especially the one in piano, the double door there, if you try and peek out and throw a smoke, it's a lot more likely to get killed versus you can bounce the fire grenades off of the doorway and still get the same effect, and you don't really have to peek and give yourself away by doing that. So T'Chaka certainly has some points where he can actually be better than the smoke, and I didn't really even think about that until I had that interview. So that's a little bit of insight as to why I think they might be bringing him. He has it's a niche pick, but it certainly has its places for utility.
There's always a room where you can make operators pick. I feel like we're in a place in Siege where a lot of the operators are very valuable. It really just depends on what the overall strategy when it comes to defending and attacking is to whether or not an operator is good, which is like, well, obviously it's how it works. But it feels like the operators aren't defining the meta. Operators are getting molded into the meta, especially recently. And I feel like that's what we're seeing here. And so at the very least, it will provide some value to the team. Although right now, not too much you can do, as he just got naded by Dunny. A very nice nade being thrown in there. And well, that will remove the Chakra from the board entirely. As well, we're seeing Flores, the power of the Flores, you mentioned at the very beginning for the operator bans, getting rid of those shields for basically free. No need to really worry about it at all. And well, Dunny's going to continue to go on a tear. This time, they're going to take out Chu, the Jaeger. And well, now it looks like the remaining players are going to try to just rotate around, try to get into better positions to potentially defend as well. There's still a ton of pressure being put on them from the upstairs players like Genji, who's going to go ahead and just remove Yeji from the board, as well as Mr. Pixel killing Awani, bringing things down to a 5v1 once again. Bean's going to get one, but Genji finishes it out with a headshot kill. Unfortunate scenario all around for them, but once again, we're going to see Juicers take another attacking round, and well, now they're at match point.
I typed in TT's like timeout. I'm not
It's
sure.
like tactical timeout, I think.
Yeah, I think so, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, good, because I actually wanted to cover a point anyway. I was watching that round, and it was kind of ironic. I was thinking, with the Rotero drones, it's like, oh well, even with my band, that wouldn't affect those drones from Flores. So I guess it doesn't matter all that much. There's other ways of clearing the shields to make this bomb site hard to defend, right? Because those shields are the most important thing, right? If you can keep those shields up, you pretty much have almost a guaranteed round one. But then I see the nade come in and get the kill, and I'm like, so maybe it did matter that they banned the Wamai, because now you only have so many ADSs, and we see just where that can leave some holes. And so playing up in mezzanine on the library door, very common spot, throw the grenade, get the kill. So really job well done to be able to play to the game that you find yourself in, which is a game where Flores is allowed and Wamai is banned. Both of them coming to the forefront in that round as highlights for me, where Flores can take care of those drones without even worrying about the ADSs that were placed there. And then on top of it, knowing that there's no Wamai to protect certain positions and getting kills from that knowledge. So really good job again from Juicers. I just want to highlight how well they've been playing in this matchup, and just really heads up plays overall throughout the entire matchup.
There's always a downside to banning one operator and not banning out the other, and I agree with you. We're seeing that come to fruition perfectly in that round. I think that there might be more disadvantages to not banning another operator and banning Thermite instead. Maybe not the best ban. I'm still kind of caught up on that. Just like I'm looking at it, and it's just like I don't get it at all. But in any event, we are going to be resuming relatively shortly. Hopefully, with 1HP taking that tactical timeout, they will have had the time while we were talking about their unfortunate bans to be able to come up with a better strategy to start winning some more of these rounds. They're at match point. This is the last opportunity they have. They need to bring it back, because if they don't, they lose this map. Well, that's basically it. And considering that they're already in a bit of a precarious spot to even get to the playoffs at all, if they lose this one in a 2-0 fashion, that might just be the end of it right there. There's always potential. Obviously, no idea what could happen, but excuse me, sorry, that would definitely make things extremely difficult for them going into the future. So with that out of the way, they're going to head down to kitchen dining, where it looks like we're going to be seeing a relatively similar composition to what we have seen previously. A couple of operators that they brought out in the previous map being brought out, such as Mozzie, but it must be their execution that is going to change if they want to actually win out this map.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I didn't even kind of like overthink it to the point where I was looking at the bans themselves of like who did it. And it's funny because I had thought that they would ban the Flores, and yet they chose the Thermite. And yet what happens? The Thermite doesn't seem to really do anything to Juicers, doesn't slow them down one bit, and yet the Flores is what they were using to help set up the tone for the round last round. So it's just kind of funny. And then they're the ones who banned the Wamayan, so you know, there's a little bit of irony there of grenade coming through and killing one of their players. And we didn't see really many grenade kills coming out on their side of things either. So just a little bit of irony all around for that. But we're going to see, as you mentioned, the defense trying to hold out. And they're doing an extension here too, which is the way you want to play this bomb site. I mentioned before, this isn't a bomb site you can give up the vertical pressure on defense. You can't give up that vertical pressure until much later. Mr. Pixel going to be the opening kill. Yeji Sosa has been so good for the team. A double now. Matt Bonger off the board. And just staying alive, dancing around with the drones and bullets coming in their way. And yet now they can retreat into further back into their own territory to stay safe. 2 kills for free within the first minute. Things are set for success for 1 HP.
We see there, if you looked at all of the outlines that were through the wall, the players outside of 1 HP saw that their player was trying to escape, and they went ahead and put a lot of pressure into actually rotating up and trying to save him. Thankfully, they were able to get out. No one was really there to capitalize off of that, but yeah, very nice work from 1 HP to be able to rotate upstairs and try to save them. And well, that rotation ended up resulting in a trade coming out here. Don't see trades too often, but it is going to be the Lion and the Mozzie going down, but a C4 and the Louis' just immaculate gun skills are going to end up securing that round very efficiently as well. I don't know what they did in the tactical timeout, but it worked as they won that round in a dominant fashion, and they stay alive in the series for at least a little bit longer.
Yeji has been pretty phenomenal in this entire matchup. We saw last map coming alive in the second half, and now here in the second half when they're down, coming alive again, able to get multi-kills. We saw that round was completely on their back. They get the opening 2 kills, and then they die getting a trade for a 3rd kill, a triple kill. 3-for-1 trade, you'll take that every round for sure. And it's not uncommon. Yeji, we saw ace last map, second half, they're on attack. Bam, triple kill, down in basement, able to secure a win down in basement on the opening round. So it's just what they do. Yeji is insane, able to try and keep this team alive. But yet again, they found themselves down pretty bad. They need 3 rounds in a row. It's a similar situation to what we had seen from last map. They brought it close, but weren't able to do it. Here now, they just won 1 round, so it'd really be 4 in a row to even make it to overtime.
Certainly another uphill battle, but one that they have shown that they can do. And well, now with them going ahead and heading up to, bedroom office, I'm expecting them to have a fairly similar defensive strategy to what we saw them bring out, or to what we saw Juicers bring out. But that actually seemed to be quite a different strategy. They're bringing out 2 very heavy, almost entirely I guess, dedicated roam operators in the Oryx and in the Vigil. I know that the coach Awkward and team owner Awkward, I know that he absolutely loves Oryx, thinks he's an amazing operator, especially on that roam game, but we don't see him be brought up by too many other teams. And we're talking about Vigils being brought out as well with them, an operator that you would typically substitute for an Oryx if you were going to bring it. Definitely a very heavy roam strategy being utilized here. And well, I guess they're already paying dividends. We're going to see the Aruni Louis opening things up with a kill onto Dunny, removing those frags and clones from the board. Potentially a very huge kill going into this round.
Well, Yeji finding another kill. Another one, double kill. Matt Bonger did find Chu, but still the damage being done. He's going to find another one almost, but no, not quite. Mr. Pixel able to shut Yeji down before they get another triple kill round. Only a double this time. But still, a 3v2. So these attackers are in, yet again, a down man deficit. It's not great for them so far these last 2 rounds. That timeout certainly seemed to have done something for 1 HP to reset, get back on track. Now, they still have to finish out this round, but it's not a great situation for these attackers. They have plenty of time. It's still much of an advantage going for 1 HP.
Things certainly looking up for them right now. Players on Juicer seem to be taking this relatively slowly. We do see Mr. Pixel sort of pushing in, putting a little bit of pressure on that bottom floor, but at least for the moment, they haven't really been able to find anything. Although they say that Louis is able to find them as they do finally secure that kill. And with that, it's all down to Badger playing on that outside window that was going to go ahead and rotate down into the main car garage and instead try to just, rotate around, head up the stairs over near West Main, maybe try to get a frag onto the player that did end up killing Mr. Pixel. I do believe it was Louis, and well, they're going to rotate around. They're looking for the stairs, and they are going to get the frag onto Louis, but being not right there on the stairs to secure that kill for the round. 2 in a row for 1 HP as they continue to stay alive in this series.
It was a bit interesting that Badger in that 2v3 would not try and move with their teammate or get a crossfire. They just sat on the window. I'm not trying to be too heavily critical, but that just kind of leaves your other player in a 1v3 essentially, as you're not doing too much. Maybe you're stopping the rotate down the stairs, but you're not helping them really, is the concern there, where you could have been paired. Maybe if they had rotated to the trophy window, they could have had the crossfire and found the kill. Right. So things like that, you just have to wonder, why would you stay there? You're not gaining any ground or helping your teammate too much. So I'm not sure what the heads up play there was from the IGL, but either way, it's just one round. They still have a buffer of 2 left. They need to win this round or the next if they want to win this map and win the matchup, since they did win map 1. But we saw them just slip up a little bit and manage to pull out in full regulation a 7-5 win here. Probably hoping it doesn't slip to that degree again.
Now they're going to be heading over to Bar Gaming, where, again, another operator lineup that seems to change. We've seen 1HP bring out a lot of operators in this defensive round so far. Their attacking side was pretty standardized in terms of the operators they brought, but we're seeing them change up roles, them change up operators that they are bringing each round. Lots of switches, and well, it seems to be working out for them. At least now it has been these past couple of rounds, and hopefully it will continue, as if not, well, that's going to be it for them and their potentially wacky team composition. But this one looks pretty standard. Once again, we are seeing Castle being brought out. They seem to love Castle, which, to be fair, he is pretty great in my opinion, but Malusi being brought out as well for more area denial, something that they have used quite frequently as well. Overall, not too surprising to see it come out from them, but just a bit of a far cry from the previous round.
And he's trying to play above that mute jammer, trying to clear out these castle barricades. You said you like them. I like them too. I mentioned the buff that was given to him before. Not only the extra castle barricade, but of course being able to put the barricades down on top of a wooden barricade, just rip it down at the same time. It's a quality of life change, but certainly one that is appreciated. Back to the matchup though, and what we are seeing here, the Rotero drones are certainly going to be trying to do their job yet again. Last time on this bomb site, we saw them clear out that shield top of blue, and well, that shield doesn't actually exist this time around. I guess they've decided no shields are necessary on bar, which is a very interesting decision.
And not even bring an operator that can bring shields to the board, which is just, yeah, I have no idea what they're going for. I said it was their lineup were interesting. I thought this one was a bit more standardized, but not bringing a shield on this bomb site in particular, definitely one of the weird decisions that we've seen. These deployables are just so powerful. It's honestly insane. And well, hopefully they'll just be able to frag out, not to worry about clearing utilities. We see players like Yeji currently instead of Piano. It did seem like they get droned, but at least for the moment they do have their backup, and Beanyat potentially result in them getting a couple of frags. It looks like they are going to go ahead and back up, as it's going to be Louis who actually ends up opening things up by killing Dunny. The Iona off the board, no more frag grenades left for them. Matt Bonger and Mr. Pixel are going to get some of their own. Yeji is there, however, been mentioning them. They're going to get Matt Bonger in the refrag, and now with the scan coming out, it will prevent them from moving. Mr. Pixel and Badger will capitalize off of it to get 2 kills, and now it's all down to Louis in a 1v3. The final hope for 1 HP in this series. Flashbang's coming out. They know where he is. He's going to run into a wall and get stuck. He is going to be able to get a couple of shots off onto the Bana, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Mr. Pixel playing on the line is going to secure that final frag, secure the map, and ultimately secure the series. Big GGs for both of these teams. The bigger GG to Juicers for being able to win this matchup.
Well, good job coming out from Juicers. We had talked about how they had taken a spot which left them in a questionable situation of, is this a team that should have that spot? And I think it was a fair question to ask, but certainly I think it's been answered. A 2-0 first round or first map, a little bit of a slip up, letting it get closer than it probably should have been. But that's only a testimony to 1 HP. It's not really necessarily negative on the side of Juicers. They certainly came to play today. They win 2 maps in a row to win the best of 3. they've secured even more points, which really does, I think, now guarantee that they hit playoffs, actually. So now it's for sure. 1 HP, they're going to unfortunately stay where they were. And it wasn't where they wanted to be. I think they still might have a chance next week. I don't know what the exact rules are with heads to heads and where the points might all line up. But certainly they let this one slip that they really wanted. No longer are their playoff hopes as high, and maybe not even possible. Again, I don't know the exact numbers on that, but certainly a lot less than they were at the beginning of today. But I think we might have enough time for an interview. So let's see if we can bring that player in.
Mhm.
And I think they have joined
There he
us. It's
is.
Pixel.
How are you? How are you guys?
Hi, how are you? Congratulations on securing your victory here. How are you feeling after it?
Team's feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. I think we all did very good today and played pretty well.
Nice. Well, we're just going to have a quick interview, ask you a few questions, and then we'll go ahead and let you continue on your day. Maybe go celebrate with your team. Sound good?
Okay, yeah.
All right. So, first question, go ahead and get out of the way is how do it was as going into this matchup, you obviously got a spot from the previous team that was in your position. So, you were coming in here, you had something to prove that you were capable of playing at this level. You did deserve to pick up that record. So, was that pressure that was on you maybe affect your play a little bit, or was your team not worried about it at all?
I'll be honest. I don't think we were worried about it at all. We were just coming in here. We knew. We knew. I think we all knew we were a little bit, a lot more warmed up and ready than this team. So I think we just came in and just played and just won our game basically.
Nice.
So
Well,
I have a question. I'm not as familiar with your team. So are you the IGL just straight out the gate? I just want to ask that. Or who would your IGL be? Just out of curiosity.
Our IGL is Badger, and then all of us can make plays if make calls if we need to.
Okay, I figured they're on the support role, so I wasn't sure. But if you were, I was gonna be like, "Oh, that's interesting," because I saw you playing like Twitch and stuff. So that would have been a very interesting conversation. But this is more standard, which is totally fine. How long has your team been together? I know you guys just took this spot, so I just have to be curious about
Uh,
the story behind you.
well, our team we made it an hour before I don't know if you guys know the SES tournament for the Pro Am,
Mhm. Oh,
and we won it. So we're just gonna stick together for that. So that's why we made that team like about I would say like 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago I think it was something like that. And
impressive.
we've just been screaming a bunch. So yeah.
Nice.
well,
Definitely shows your commitment to winning these matches, and very impressive that you're able to come in here and look so coordinated, like you were, with only that much time together. Did maybe some of the players on your team already have experience playing with each other before they came in here, or did all of you guys just happen to come together on the spot and happen to really gel well together?
Well, I think we've all been together. Like, our main like blue type of thing would be Badger. He was he's been with every single person except for Matt Bonger. We're all new with Matt Bonger, but Badger's been on a team with Genji and Dunny, and I was on a different team with him. So I think he's like the one that keeps us all together, glues us together. That's why he's the IGL, and he just does really well. And I think all of us just, our coordination has just been very well even though we just like started playing together, we all know exactly what we're doing at the same time. Even if we're doing something bad, at least we're doing it all together. So that's what really matters.
it's awesome. You love to hear that from a team. Sometimes we hear about some drama that happens within teams and in this scene, but I like to see that you all seem to have really good relationships together. That's awesome to hear. Moving into the matchup, well, in a second, actually, I do want to ask a question before we get to the matchup with some more specifics. But where does Juicers come from? I just have to ask. It's a very interesting name.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea where that comes from. I don't think even Badger, the one who made it, knows where it come from. Where it comes from. So like, I don't know. Just random.
I mean, I see. Sometimes that's where some of the best names just are just off the cuff. Things that you might as well. Juicers. Why not? Funny name. It works really well. So, as I said, getting into the match itself, obviously we saw that you guys had a very dominant first map Clubhouse. At least in the first half, you were able to win 5-1 on attack, which is uncommon for Clubhouse itself. But then in the second half, we saw 1HP taking it towards you, taking it to you for majority of that. They were on the cuff of almost taking you to overtime. So how did you kind of keep your team together? Or I guess not you particularly, but how did your team kind of stick together and coordinate really well, despite the fact that you were on a pretty big losing streak and almost going taken to overtime?
Well, I think once we were up 5-1, we were getting very overconfident, just like swing everything. So all we had to do was just tell the team, like Badger was telling us, like, yo, just chill out. Like, we know that we can beat these guys. We're on defense. Like, just slow down. And that's what we did. And then we just took both rounds right back from them. So that's it. We just slowed it down, and basically they just kept on just messing up, basically.
So on the topic of being on Clubhouse, I just want to know what you thought when you were on attack and you see Bar being brought 2 times.
Um,
Like what ran
I
through the
was
minds and
we were a bit confused at first. Like we were like, oh, is it actually Bar? And then we just kept on beating. Well, I've never attacked that site in my life, and we just kept on like beating them. And we just didn't understand why they kept on going back and back to Bar. So I don't know. Free rounds for us, I guess. I don't know. I'll be honest. Whoever came up with that strat has to like a little go back and rethink a little bit, because it was a lot of holes.
Mm. Yeah, and moving on to Chalet. Obviously, Chalet, a little bit different of a bomb site, but we did see quite a couple of interesting site choices, at least in my opinion, when it came to it. Seemed like that both teams didn't really want to go up to master bedroom and office, which interesting. Typically, you see that map being played the most. So, was there any reason? Is that just you guys just don't prefer to play on that site? You got strategies for other site, or was there another reason that may have influenced your decision to go there or to not go there? Excuse me.
Well, I'm pretty sure top floor is like statistically the worst site right now on the map in the NAL and just in general. So, and everyone already knows how to push that site pretty easily. You can either go for the solar take or the main take. So, I think just going to the other places, and you can get a little bit more aggressive, swing a little bit more on the other ones. On this one, it's a lot more locked down. So, I feel like just basically like the surprise factor, and like people not knowing perfectly how to attack the other sites.
Hmm, makes sense. So you win this matchup, you're going to playoffs, and of course that's something to look at and think about of like, how are you going to prepare for that and things like that, but also just in general, what does the future look like, you think, for this team? What are your goals, aspirations, and any shout outs as well while we're on that topic of like who maybe helped you guys get to this point and come together?
Well, I think overall the team, biggest shout out would be our coach Forceful, and of course Flacco, who just came in today and subbed for us because Mr. Matt Bonger didn't know how to wake up. Um, but yeah, I think those our support staff is really helpful, really guiding us into like knowing how to play against better teams, and just knowing how to stay calm and basically like focus up on important situations. And I think for the future of Juicers, we're gonna take the whole prize, man. We're just gonna win it all, of course.
Just this league, or do you
Oh,
have
we're
higher? Not, I'm just not trying to downplay this league, but are you like CL and like what's
oh
the
well. CL would probably be the other group people, because I'm the youngest. I'm 16, so
oh
all of them are
16?
all
Okay.
Mm.
yeah, all of them are overage except for me. So if CL quals, they can do that. And then also once we go to the pro am, we're gonna try to make a little bit of a name for ourselves against those professional teams.
Yeah, well, good luck to that. Good luck in this league and also so to whatever your future aspirations may be. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview. We'll let you go ahead and go. It's been a bit of a longer interview, so hopefully you can go celebrate with your team and have a good time after this win.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you guys.
congratulations.
Thank you for the stream. Thank you for the cast. Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from us for now. We are going to have another cast, or I'm going to be there. Unfortunately, I do not believe Wealku is going to be joining me, but we are at the very least going to have another match later on in the night, closer to 9 p.m. EST. So if you want to see that, we will be going live around the time when that happens. So, at least for the moment, that's going to be it from all of us. Anything else you have to say, Wealku, before we head off?
No, just stay around. Obviously, it's a little bit out. 55 minutes out from now. So just come back. See what's happening. We just saw a really good matchup. Despite what maybe looked like a blow at the beginning, you saw it. It could almost turn around. So never count anything out. Always stay tuned and watch more because things can change on a dime and it's really fun to watch. So thank you for coming in. Hopefully we'll see you again in a little bit. But for now, short break. We'll see you soon.